Or shot fire, officer down, shot fire, officer down. Got a city officer down, shot fire.
223, be advised, we have a visual on enemy paratroopers in grid Papa uniforms.
Welcome to the Resilient Warrior Nation, a podcast dedicated to inspiring hope and healing for first responders, military veterans, and anyone facing PTSD and trauma. Hey guys, welcome to another podcast episode of the Resilient Warrior Nation. I'm your host, Mike Morgan. I am very excited about today's episode, but before I get to my guest, let me explain why I started this podcast and what this shirt that I'm wearing means to me. Unafraid is not a proclamation. This is the name of a company owned by a man named Eddie Penny. Eddie's a former Navy SEAL, Team 6 guy. And as I sat down in the spring of 2023 to watch a podcast episode of the Sean Ryan Show, I did not realize that Eddie was about to change the entire trajectory of my life. During the course of the episode, Eddie was recounting the story of the Extortion 17 incident in which a Chinook was shot down in Afghanistan by insurgents, killing all 38 aboard, including 17 SEALs. It was their largest loss of life in one event in their community ever. And included in the dead was Jason Workman, Eddie's best friend. As Eddie told the story, he began to get upset, rightly so. I simultaneously began thinking about a call that I had buried 5 years before. I am a medically retired 30-year police officer, and that call was a 2-year-old that was found floating in a pool. She lived, thank God, beautiful girl named Dana Sikorsky, but it had affected me greatly. It was actually the one call in my 30-year career that I started to cry on, but told myself, can't cry, you fucking pussy, and immediately stopped. It would have been the best thing I could have done for myself, but men don't cry. So as I watched Eddie telling the story of escorting Jason's body back to his hometown in Utah and then to his final resting place at Arlington National Cemetery, no other better way to say it, I lost it. I began crying like a baby. I had no idea what was happening. I actually asked myself, what the fuck is going on? I had been retired almost a year at that point, and shortly after retirement, I had been experiencing feelings of anger, rage, some depression, just general unhappiness. And I really had no idea why. I'm pretty self-aware, but I could not figure out the origination. To looking back now, there's a multitude of things. One, I was no longer this thing that I was for 30 years. I was no longer part of this brotherhood that I was for 30 years. And more importantly, I had seen and done things, mostly being involved in the most devastatingly intimate moments of other people's lives over and over and over. And I kind of put two and two together and realized that I suffered from some sort of PTSD. I mistakenly believed that that was only caused by seeing your brother or sister you next you get killed. But again, mine was from being inside people's worst moments of their lives. So I knew I needed help. I wasn't sure how I was going to go about it. I didn't think traditional therapy was going to do it for me. I didn't think I'd talk to a man and woman sitting behind a desk. They were going to be able to listen to what I've done and what I've seen and be able to help me. I'm not putting down on therapy. It's a beautiful thing, but I just didn't think it was for me in this particular case. So furthermore, I had been seeing these special force operators on Sean's and other podcasts speaking about journeying with psychedelics after coming home from war, self-professed broken men. I was very pessimistic at first, but really started paying attention, started doing research, and just found ayahuasca calling me. I journeyed with ayahuasca in the beginning, actually March 1st of 2024, along with my wife. And although it was a 3-ceremony weekend, after the first ceremony, for all intents and purposes, my life was changed forever. I was reborn in a non-religious sense, is what I like to say. So the universe had been speaking to me during that journey. And furthermore, I'd had 2 Suffolk County police officers and friends commit suicide 3 weeks earlier, a week apart. The sergeant had actually killed himself in a precinct locker room. And the universe told me it had healed me. And my life's pursuit was to go forth, help other first responders and vets heal theirs. I said, okay, out loud, having no idea how I was going to implement it. But one thing I decided to do was start a podcast to do for others what Sean's did for me. And in that podcast, I bring on ordinary people who've done extraordinary things in their lives. We talk about the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. And my hopes is that you men and women going through it can identify with them, can gain inspiration and hope, and hopefully you raise your hand to ask for help like I did. So I'm very excited to introduce my next guest. I have Drago, Dzieran, a retired Navy SEAL with multiple deployments into combat zone and over 100 combat direct action, which are capture or kill missions. He is most known as a Naval Special Warfare lead breacher. Drago performed over 100 combat direct action missions as a Naval Special Warfare lead breacher, while deployed to Iraq in '03, '04, and '05, where he developed new breaching methods and a specialized breaching charge that minimized fragmentation and reduced potential injuries to non-combatants on target. This breaching charge allowed SEAL assault elements a smaller standoff distance from the explosive breach and became widely used by SEALs throughout Iraq, saving many non-combatants' lives. Drago was an operator at SEAL Team 2 and SEAL Team 4 and a BUDS instructor at Naval Special Warfare Center in Coronado, California. He was awarded the Bronze Star Medal with V, Device for Valor, the Navy Commendation Medal with V, Device for Valor, and the Army Commendation Medal, along with other awards and decorations. Drago was a former political prisoner of communist regime behind the Iron Curtain in Poland in the 80s. Drago was born in communist Poland, where he grew up, and eventually was imprisoned for his opposition to communist regime. He escaped to the U.S. in '84, became a U.S. citizen in '91, and joined the U.S. Navy the same year. Following his honorable retirement after 20 years in the Navy, Drago began a successful career as a software engineer. He founded the Navy SEALs Fund, a 501(c) nonprofit with the mission of providing support for all generations of current, retired, and former UDT/SEAL teammates and their immediate dependents, as well as Gold Star families. He also founded Connect Zing, a freedom of speech platform that gives a voice to all Americans without the worry of censorship or socialist fact checkers. Drago is married to his beautiful wife, Rachel, an Air Force Academy graduate with a master's in bioengineering. Currently, she is finishing her PhD in AI-aided systems engineering. Drago, welcome to the show. It is an absolute honor to have you on.
Thank you. I know you guys, it's honor to be here, and I really would appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We have just from that kind to say I'm very biased towards America because everything that I own, everything that I have today, I owe to America, to American people, to you guys. So I will be forever grateful for that. You know, when I lost the country, America gave me a country. I'm American citizen. When I lost my home, America gave me a home. When I lost my freedom, America gave me freedom. I will always be grateful for that. I will never forget that. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's so powerful to hear you say that. And as we were speaking off air prior to recording, I said I love and appreciate every one of my guests, but you just hit different. You're just different. I mean, the way you extol the virtues of this country and love and appreciate this country. I love my country. I was born here. I did not have to face anything close to what you did, obviously. And I love my country and appreciate it. So it pisses me off when I see people who denigrate our country and speak ill of it. And then to hear and see your story and hear you speak about it, I think it's beautiful, the way you speak about this country and what it's brought to you. And I wish more people had the attitude. Obviously, there's few that have gone through what you've gone through, but we live in the greatest nation on earth. It's not perfect. There's never going to be a perfect system or government or anything in life. Unfortunately, there's no utopian society. But as far as I'm concerned, what we
This
have
is-
is the closest thing to it.
It is perfect for me. It's the
Exactly.
greatest country in the world.
Yeah, we're going to get into your story and people could hear how difficult your childhood and your upbringing was. And maybe it'll make them, those who don't, appreciate what we have a little more. So please, if you get into it, just tell us about where you grew up, how you grew up, your family. Let's just get into the weeds and find out about you. Today's episode is brought to you by Cutting Edge Testosterone Therapy, a veteran-owned, family-run clinic led by a retired first responder. At Cutting Edge, they help men and women rebuild strength, focus, and vitality through advanced hormone therapy, peptides, and performance-based weight management. Whether you've served your country, your community, or your family, Cutting Edge helps you get your edge back safely, professionally, and with people who understand what service takes out of you. Cutting Edge offers individualized care with no monthly fees or contracts. Learn more at cuttingedgetestosteronetherapy.com. Cutting Edge Testosterone Therapy, built by those who serve for those who still do.
People born here in America, being good persons is so natural, it's normal. People here don't dwell on it. It's just like why I'm this way. Well, I was born this way. I was brought up this way to be good persons. And it is this very transparent. People don't dwell on it. People do good things. And it's just but this is only normal in America, and people who travel around the world, they can attest to it. This is America's very unique and special country. I wrote a book that went to America. I want to use as a lens, as a prism, so people can see that our America from different vantage point, not from side, but from somebody who came from our sister, from Latin America, and became American himself. So I really, this is the greatest honor that can be bestowed on anybody living in America, being American citizen. So, I never took a lot of, I would say, thank you, accolades for being Lady Seal. I'm very proud of it, but it is not the proudest thing I have ever done. Becoming American citizen is the proudest thing, and is very dear to my heart. So I would like to say thank you for that.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. I was listening to Jocko's podcast, your appearance on Jocko's the other day, where you said that was the thing you're most proud of was becoming a U.S. citizen, not a Navy SEAL, and I think it's beautiful, frankly. Um, and seeing and reading about your perspective and hearing about your perspective from you, hopefully, will change other people's minds because it's easy when you grow up with something to not appreciate it. It's just your normal, and you think everyone else lives like that, and that is far from true. As we're going to hear your story, and I think it can only help others to widen their perspective and increase their awareness of other things that go on in this world when they hear stories like yours that can make them truly appreciate what we have. Some people are never going to do it, but shame on them. Others are going to have hear your story, your perspective, and change theirs. And that is a powerful thing to do.
I think everybody appreciates America. Some people just don't express it or don't dwell on it. Like I said earlier, it's just history for them to be persons and also to love America. America is just all below. And, they might see things they can improve. Everything can be improved, of course. But, again, looking from outside, somebody with experience outside the United States, will really appreciate the way America is. And I think this is why we all work as one to make America as good as we can and improve things that can be improved and preserve things that are due and we want to preserve. So yeah, absolutely. That's I can talk for hours. Again, yeah, actually had been a different vantage point. I've seen the better and I didn't from a side, and that seems a good and beautiful in America.
Yeah, fortunately, there's a lot of discord going around in this country right now, but people need to realize we're all in this together. Like we're all connected. It's not that this group and this group and this group are they're diametrically opposed. They think in their heads, and we have nothing to do with each other. No, we're all human beings. We're all Americans, and
Yes, but we need to also remember that this store is in a great part generated by people from outside of the United States.
yeah,
Those are the same globalist theories that destroy Western Europe. I mean, if you look at Germany, England, and France, the bestiality, the animalistic parts of society that they became is really sickening. But the same thing they try to push on here in America. Thanks God, President Trump stopped that unchecked immigration. Around 30 million people. This is close to 10% of population coming to the United States with no loyalty to America, who do not understand America. They don't want to understand America. They don't want to be Americans. They just want to fleece America as much as they can. And then they don't care what happens to our country. This is why the immigration needs to be checked. How does it go? You don't travel to somebody's house to break into the window. We have doors. You can just really be open to try and then knock on the doors and see if you qualify. So this is very important. You know, every nation has its own core, has its own moral values, If we start undermining this and dilute the core segment of the core population in the United States, we become even not Americans, but we will have dwellers in North American the field the US citizens. There is a Raniana, there's a no, there's a 30 million aliens. But if we continue on this path, eventually we will not in the country or we will not kind of people that care for our country. And this is me, on so many Reddit, on so many platforms. They share always, if you go to Facebook, if you go to any other platform, then the algorithm will show you the things that emotionally disturbing for you. They will just try to rail you up, and they uh they show you the most strange of our society, the most perverted, animalistic part of society. You who's a man, dress up, masquerading as a woman, accosting women in their bathing. You have a man masquerading as a woman, attacking it, trying to participate in a women's sport. This is sick. This is deviation. But it is still not as bad as it is in Europe right now. I think we see the opening of Olympics in France. I have never seen more animalistic, provocative depravity in the world. I never even could imagine that something like this can exist. That this is why I never watched the Olympics last year. It was nothing but, not the Olympics, but the opening was nothing but perversion, depravity, and debauchery of the society. And this is done on purpose because if you do not have cohesion in society, it is very easy to undermine it and manipulate. I mean, take a look what is happening in England, where parents are running on the street, people are getting arrested for menace, for me. I think there's around 10 over 10,000 people in prison for me facing. Same in Japan, I think like 2 years ago, they passed the legislation that police actually can install the microphones in your house without you knowing it, without the judge checking it. It's just on the web. They can go and install the surveillance systems in your house. See, the European is starting slowly to like Soviet Union in the 21st century. I mean, but what do we expect? Look who is running those government perverts. Look at Macron. This guy was raped by the dude when he was said when he was 16 years old and do the right. Then America, then she beat just on the paper. You can look at gender as a person. Became a woman. I'm talking about the Macron's wife. I mean, how perverted is that? And those people are running. What do you expect from such society run by perverts and sick people? Same with Summer and same with the German leadership. What would you expect from the country that was to ruin Europe 3 times within 100 years? I'm talking about the Kaisers, Hitler, and Merkel, who initiated the invasion of people from different cultures into Europe. So yeah, we don't want to go follow European countries that, especially these three, is just perversion, depravity, and debauchery. And this is not something that we should just plan to be.
Yeah, it's amazing. We see it going on, and it was still kind of following suit and laying the groundwork for it to happen here in certain respects. So we really need to open our eyes and, gather together to fight.
We need to preserve our cohesion of our society
Yeah.
and our improv values. I think we all think just a little of the land administration, the attack on the family values, attacks on our faith, attacks those people disagree with the month and social. That's true that when the practice with the legacy use media, the social media, the others will show you the depravity, the perversion, these dudes in lipstick running around, stopping women in their bathrooms. This is not who we are, not what the left is. This is not what Democrats are. This is not the bubble of Democrats with Republicans. And this is good against evil.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what's happening. You know, we, we should see the fellow of America. Americans should never be an enemy to a fellow American,
Yeah.
right? So when we see these perversions in the park, the first thing you on the Facebook or Instagram, you know, this is something that they want you to think like, whoa, look at the other side. They just are insane. They are perverts. They are not just the same people like me and you, but they make these different paths for our country. But they are the same people who go to work every morning, drop bottles, bring them to eat how after school, after the cook for government workers, just like you and me. They just see it different. But they are with our parents. We should not see these people as our enemies. We just they are fellow Americans. I'm not talking about the French perversion in the public. There's very few of them. We should concentrate on them, and we need to understand that we are just all fellow Americans. We want our country to be better, to make our country better. So yeah, that's what we need to think about. They are not the left. I mean the left. The Democratic Party, I'm not adverts, says and wackos. They're just bits like me and you. And same thing, I would like Democrats to see Republicans the same way.
Yeah.
We just follow America. We might see our path for the country but different than them. But we are not there to destroy America and don't destroy the oppositions because I came from country that it was done. It happened where the opposition were hunted down. They were being either killed or imprisoned. I'm talking about the communist bloc of socialist countries behind Iron Curtain after Second World War, late 90s. This is where I came from. I've seen it. I spent time in communist prisons. So, yeah. The only thing I would like to add, I think it is very important distinction because here in the United States, people, especially young people, want to see socialism as something very different from communism and something good. This is what we are being told by peddlers in our universities, by ideologists. But it is not true. We need to remember, I mean, we need to know that none of the countries behind Iron Curtain after Second World War were communist. There were no communists. They were all socialist countries. They were all socialist states, including the Soviet Union as well. Soviet Union was not communist country. It was socialist state. Socialism is very dangerous because the power the government get over people and people's organizations should judge their life. So we need to remember that socialism is dangerous. Socialism has nothing to do like sounds like people like to bring Norway, Sweden. Although the more they lean towards the socialists, the more human rights are being violated there, and the more people lose their rights. So, but they are not social states. If you tell Sweden or Norwegians that they are socialist thing, I think they would be offended. They are not. They do have extended social programs, but this is very different. It's a not socialist country. I can clear this country. I can tell you when I see that.
Yeah, so let's get into that. Let's talk about your childhood and how you grew up. Um, what are your earliest memories of growing up? How did you grow up? Who'd you grow up with? Family was?
Well, it was kind of awkward a little bit for as far as my family. My father is communist, and then those socialist states they were run by communists and by communist pacifists. They were not called skanker, they were just run because they were social state. So my father was in Communist Party. I had all the progress basically as a little kid until he left, when I was 7 years old. I had to still be younger siblings at the time. So before he left, we could get away with over my father intimidate people either with his presence or with his secret code. Because there was a lot more difficult than I experienced in myself, but as a kid, by accident, found the wheat field, one of my neighbors. So, of course, at that time, being about maybe 5, 6 years old, you remember, we were just baking potatoes, didn't want anybody to see it. So it was in the middle of the wheat field or whatever was growing out at the time. So we had invented basically or the one that my mom of a year elder. So we stole some potatoes, went in the middle of the wheat field and baked them. Of course, the whole wheat field was set at fire. It didn't really get away without the light. Being right in the middle. So when the neighbors came to our home and complained, my family looked at me, explained to him, he just needs to go away, forget about the thing. Or the police, the secret police will become his hand. And they will talk to him and the chances will not be pleasant. There was the time when I was born in the 1960s that they were still executing people for opposition to communist ideologies, officials. There were courts, like the show courts, the judges were sentencing people to prison, to people who came back from Second World War. Those soldiers were fighting on the western side. They were very persecuted, and many of them sentenced to death and killed, or sent even to Soviet Union. That was these 1940s, 50s, and 60s. The best example was Polish ace from Battle of Britain. He was a leading ace, Polish ace. He was sentenced to death when he came back when he returned to Poland after the Second World War. Only intervention of Churchill, the American president, eventually after I think 5 or 8 years on the death row, he was released. But other than that, there was many other pilots, soldiers, and sailors back from England. They were executed on in prisons.
Amazing. Come back from defending your country, this is how you treat it.
I'm just painting like a diagram of how the Poland looked like at the time. So I was born around 15 years after the Second World War, so it was still very fresh in people's mind of the atrocity committed by Germans. That was the sixth time the Germans ruined Europe. The first one was the First World War. Kaiser. The second one was with Hitler. So that, but again, this is how socialism works. Adolf Hitler, he was a socialist. His party was called Sparta. There was national socialism. But like in the area socialism, they all had their things in somehow. Political persecution, censorship, political notables, assassinations. So where my family, my mom and my grandma, they all could say that this is one, three social, one from just the child, death and Adolf Hitler, the National Socialist, and then one from Brezhnev, which was just coming. But they all were very wishes the same. So when I was with, it was like, again, at the beginning, in the field of pain, it was my father discovering, but after he left.
What kind of title or job did he have in the government? Your dad. What type of job or title?
Oh yeah, he was the director of the department of schools, theaters, movies, libraries, in Ministers of Agriculture, Poland.
So it's actually a pretty decent sounding. It's a high title, high job.
Yeah,
Prestigious.
it was like a one minister.
Wow. Okay.
The thing is that I was with the word at the time. I was not aware of just recently that all the censorship we talk about social systems and social countries. He was really he was in the child, which usually can get the shows, which usually will not look movie will go to the theater, which will not be good. So artists who did not support socialism, socialism ideologies, they were silent. They were not allowed to perform. Some artists write out of those. Their influence being removed is that was an event that they may not support the societies. There's sorry, they remove from the libraries. The acts of artists is not really supporting social systems. We're being removed. Uh, the module that did not support socialism were being ignored. Uh, the picture, the way man it was so because we learned that uh, that everything is was socially, even the kings of Poland, Poland exists nine hundred nothing of our era, and I highly understand nobody. So even the all these were socialists, they all came to excuses, isn't the here to explain how that meaning and the mode was a socialist over what would we count socialists today, which is this is a question of true. That's this is the opera, the history of folk wisdom, and we did the real history of folk, and to actually really impress us when I actually was in presence of professors, engineers, people, the activists, and with people opposing communism and socialism. This is Iran's real history of Poland. But until then, the thing was cookie cutter. If you didn't believe on the socialist side, if you did not agree with that, or if there was even uh, if there was even if somebody thought that did not agree with socialist ideology, even if you were not you know, remember, these things made in schools. Everybody got compared with those children. I didn't like it because big jokes I was also very little. I didn't like it because I was a little bit feeling that school was seeing kind of work and I just it's not too great. So there was this as easy that the tests because you progress because it's great you pass that test person language. So you look around like well, let's say, hey, you know, why do you get going? You no, you hey, it's going the rest are over on us. Well, I think right a bit of the tip to work out to me. Grab and be my idiot. Pull the eye out of that and watch this with Princess of our food. Then the win. Then the principal of the police. Sorry, now the police is in, but then the way to my school is not my mom's school. My mom was teacher is different school. But the thing hey, so long a camp they brought her to school and they even that bothered us. There was two uniform officers and the two officers and two police officers. So there was many one
And you know your dad's a member of the Communist Party. There's still the 10-year mom.
it wouldn't matter at the time because even if you were party member, but you will skewed of the socialist ideology that they proposed in this time, you could even mention. But I have to remember, my father was no, he was in electricity with us. Look at this. He was, especially when he left to all the social. The only time I see was when I was, I think, 14 years old, and my mom could not afford feeding me and my two siblings. They sent me as an oldest return so I can hand it back to my father to live with my father. This is what really more the mindset, the social.
Now, can I just interrupt here for a second? So when you say dad left, you mean just the marriage wasn't going well, so he just left in that respect?
Yeah,
Okay, and nothing to do with politics or anything like that. It just didn't work out with your parents.
when I was 7 years old, my mom is a lot of Catholic. She is used to change too many, I not lost at the time, the Poland were time man was performing, talent would have not understand. So I was going at that as people getting on their knees, getting up, sitting down and getting to their knees, getting up. So I was just asking, moving there, and the watching over. I said, well, let's turn to entertain people. I would just wait me from the almost penitents to get you the gates. I just charged to the phone way in judge of the on the person just landing was a bar and we both tumbled to the ground. I thought it was funny. I was only 3, 4 years old. People did look like a spunk heading from other people. My mom was my mom to us. But yes, I mean that they were good guys at the time. My father was really scared that he can lose his career if they see his family in the church, especially for children. So he forbade us. Said my mom ignored, especially when my grandma came in. That was just great. Like he didn't want us to go to church. So that was before my younger sister was born. So I remember like, my mom asked me to the window because my father was standing in the doorway and says, "You are not going to church with the kid." So my mom passed me to the window like a football, and my dad picked me up and stayed with my brother, and we went to church. Finally, we father learned to ignore it, but it was long him. And when I was 7 years old, when I was 6 years old, they 6 years, 7. When I was 7, he was a little bit good. You know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you, how did your mom and dad even get together with such diametrically opposed views of politics in that it's so important in your society at that time?
She said I loved a bunch of teachers in the same school. And I think he seemed my mom attractive. And his family, when my mom met his family, they hated communism. He had one. Matter of fact, when I went on vacations with my dad, because his dad wanted to drink my mom, then although they got not hated, they caught on the evil with better. So, so I was coming there. Of course, my grandkids must very is teaching me how to pray. So we all get on our knees in front of the bed, put our hands together, and say pray and then pray. But you were the saying was God's will please hear the tyranny and sorcery out of our country. Send the one we came from to the pure evil, the devil. And so I was praying like that. I was listening to it. But that's, I remember one day I working was the I asked the room, so sit there and then do they have hope? Do they have a do they brew fire? Maybe what the grandma says they know. They are asked glad I even they want their people who oppose who they don't want. But you cannot see their breathing, their breathing fire and their homes, their tents,
Yeah.
they hide. But eventually they had to take care of that because this is evil, that's pure evil. And so I said, okay. But my father had a big one time. When I was I was listening to the fishes should pray, or is that like a sign pray very well.
Yeah.
So actually, he treasured my good. And he says, if you if you teach these things to my kids, I'm going to see it. They never come here to see.
And that's his mom, right? That's his mother?
That's his mother. Yeah.
Wow.
So, he was an outcast himself. But good for people. They were villagers.
Yeah.
The little farm, they whatever they get from the farm, a little bit of land, they were able to get communities. And there were 2 cars with few sheets, few hundred chicken, geese with mango pigs, and would all they don't good. And I initially I want to go out there because I really I was working finally I was leaving acreage. I was living in small town in the Poland. So all I wanted to was the beach, you can see all the dumb people and all these buses, the cars. And one time I remember when we came to the big city where my other grandma lived. They opened the first escalator God, I remember it was from that we could not afford to go to like a Disneyland park, Sinfland. It's just how right I am on the escalator for like 2 hours. I'm just laughing at it. But for me, it was Disneyland. It was so fantastic. I couldn't get the thing from. So yeah, that was my Disneyland when I was growing up.
That's amazing.
And when I want to go back to the time when I was in TV, right? And the teachers called police on me. So when the secret police came into the principal's office, they threatened my mom. They're like, that she that instill more love for socialism and bring us up in the proper way, or government will take care of it, will be removed from the non-custody place in the government orphanage, or the government will control what will and how will end. So my mom was very scared because well, there's no isolation case. It happened in Poland quite often. I mean, if you didn't like nationalism, they found all kinds of ways to terrorize you.
It's amazing. So now you get a place with your father at 14. How's that relationship? How's your life at that point, living with him? He's espousing all these communist views. Obviously, you're not. So how do you guys get along? Like, how's your day-to-day life with him?
Well, we didn't win. Last along with his wife, which was pure evil. But it funny. My father, after the court case that I had allowed Pando to live with my father in woman's house, he brought in that she was his wife when so she bought the flowers themselves and said to give it to her. I say, hello, I don't know this. Yes. So when she opened the door to give her the flowers and say he's nice to be live with us. Oh, she's the party got she's drink. That was my wife. I think it lasts long. I had a relationship. Um, and I was like trying to figure out why he's so hell bent on social congress. And he says, but social is such a great system. People just don't understand. So you need to make people understand. You need to teach people how high socialism is. I say, well, so my family let me had the experience that I had institution myself. So was not at all great. What about other people with nationalist experience? He says, University Forest was into like a social. It's like, what do you believe with that? Well, but it's still Slovenes. If they don't like it, they'll go after a few visits on police stations or to secret communities visiting that, they might change it.
Yeah.
Well, ask, they died. Well, I'll have crazies. I said, well, president doesn't like anybody. I said, well, they're just the rather better on society, my enemies. What the missing enemies? And there were. There were death squads from the January August, death squads running in Poland, even after the marshals didn't like that and killing a million people. And they usually sometimes people were bad. Well, no, that it's a society.
Okay.
So they could terrorize people around them. And so, like this come back, just the bigger sensor who was far ahead. And there was outside it, but he just hanged himself. Or was stabbed up 50 times and was covered suicide. Oh, but in this time,
40, 50's a little overboard for suicide. Killing their own people.
and that's true. Talking about Russia, Soviet Union at the time, the people he saw some more votes from communists, from socialists run by communist party. They were Russians. Stalin more than not hundreds of thousands, more than millions of people. And the same they throughout the eastern bloc were the worst packed countries. They were really governed by that or controlled by the Soviet Union. Russia today is one President Putin today has such a great support among Russians because They are not really socialist communist country. They are not that in the boat. 85% support for Putin in his society. It tells you how dangerous socialist is and how Russians hate that socialism as much as I did and people in other countries. They feel free today. They do. And you have oppositions to win the oppositions here.
Yep.
But majority of people in Russia, they support the, they want to, their family is not giving the some people trade from us here. Jewish is free. So so they do very well. That Haman is doing fairly well.
Right.
What happened to them? Because there's a war with Ukraine and all the shows I spoke about it on Dan Consumer shows. They are they do nothing. What those sanctions did is to teach Russians how to be independent. They don't need anything from Western Europe. They really don't. They have everything they need within their own territory. So we are in very dangerous right now. And people, if you tell them that the Russians are Jerusalem right now, they are full of fish. I've been there. This is not true. It's a lie. And I don't know what maybe if you want to help Ukraine, and if those statements immediately, and some of our generals told the truth, people who understand the urgency that Ukraine needs help.
Right.
But because we're being lied to, like we're taking they believe, well, they are almost a gate to Moscow, or they are not. I mean, every day today, Russia is moving west 5, 6, 10, 20 kilometers a day on top of it. This Ukrainian army, brave and can do some counterattacks. They also talking about what having people. Because of that, there's a wood, there's a that soldiers. The huge army of the young range left the west. Ukraine has been devastated. And there is all the west money we can throw at them. We'll not do this swap because there is nobody to fight.
Right.
And people don't know about it, but if you for our different sources, independent sources, you will find out that there are definitely to fake-based media in the scumbags like the people in our brand process, Europe, and in Ukraine as well. I mean, if you had the chance to read Poland and read what news sources CNN write about the United States, about our president, you would be petrified. I haven't seen such a host of propaganda against the United States from communist press when I grew up in social state, as I hear today from Newsweek, from CNN, MSNBC, on foreign podcasts. It's
Yeah, I know. I believe you. Totally believe you. So let's kind of get back to you in Poland growing up now. Obviously, we know that you've been sent to prison. What led to that happening to you?
So, Bill II came to Poland in 1978. And until that time, people in Poland, we didn't know how many of them are socialists. They were little groups here and there with different parties, but they were destroyed by secret police or they were investors in the police. So people really, when we watched the official state-based media in Poland at the time, you would think that everybody is for socialists. That everybody this was it wasn't the world is nothing. It's thing with part. And this is the impression when Bill Jolobitzik is a king and I remember watching TV the the comments from the fake media was, "Well, this is funny, dude. It's funny ad and why the dress this without porn." And basically, just everything is crazy. A few crazy pieces of people, and they kill few people, kind of crazy, easy. But now, and you and check falls on the internet, see the visit in each town the Pope went to. There's a not crowd now. Some of them were millions of people. There were entire city being taken. And we didn't know it. But people who were there, when they look around, they see this is not just crazy. This is so much of this problem.
Yep.
Wants freedom, wants bread, food, and then once ideology coming, they realize that this is when this was started developing organizations, this organizations, because they this few years there are millions of them,
Yeah.
and then the words from Pope, and yet don't go right. You don't have to be of your stand up, fight for your right. They did, and they won. Eventually, they were able to legalize first in the entire Warsaw Pact. First organization is totally independent from communist custom. When our vice president was speaking to Western the audience, when we say, when he says, don't afraid, right? Stand up. He didn't speak this baboons from Brussels. For he didn't speak the socialist elite, the socialist baboons from Brussels. He spoke directly to society that don't be afraid to stand up, fight for your rights. And I think this slowly had a European Union fall apart today as you speak. So we'll see how they that go. But what our vice president would say basically was quote to John Paul II from 1978, and it did have what he said in the Western countries. People listen, and I think now they want freedom really well because, like I said earlier, the European Union is turning into a Soviet Union. It's very oppressive. There's what 60 unexplained deaths in Germany within a week and a half from people leading political party opposing the mainstream party.
Yep.
So think about it.
Oh yeah. I'm sure all accidental.
When the things were communists, besides the West to arrest, then they were compiled since Second World War. Now go went into overdrive and start compiling a list of people either to murder, to arrest, or anyway to veteran. It starts to happen. And when they found the boys, the drip was precise in 1980s. And that was how the part last solidarity, trade union movement. There was trade union movement that turned into the social movement. So in December 13, 1980, they 1981. Yeah, December 13, 1981, they imposed martial law.
Okay.
So I remember I was in Florida, the trade union headquarters at the time in my city. When people start coming in, hey, they arrest marchers throughout the entire city. So then they find out that there's arrests happen throughout the entire country. The phones were shut off, the TV and radio was taken AIDS. This arrested people, thousands of people were arrested. And they didn't count the arrest as the first person. They counted interdict. So between the propaganda, they were not arrested, they were in prison. They were look to the detention centers where they can be there thankful for all they because that could be dangerous to mortals. It's just some to potentials. They do it yet. They didn't break the law, they were just potentials and so they detain tactics people. Now, of course, that was just growing even more to the socialist elite in Poland. the Royal Park got involved in underground structures. So we start starting a newspaper, or we call it a newspaper, but it was more like the leaflets, with 2 pages. But so we start saying that remember for socialists and communists, information is very dangerous thing in the long hand. So people who control information, they understood it very well. People who control information control people's minds. So there was strict pressures and censorship and information was out of sight. We're breaking the rules. So of course the pressure has now discussing the process. So what those leaflets, this patient's leaflets, that basically describe what happened at the street who in presence where they could reach families can find them. Was much dangerous for coming in social state. Code I will say 3 years worth any rights.
3 years.
And,
Wow.
yeah. So that's the deal with it. But then there was the crap, the poet created the society in socialist ideologies. They just brought census. Eventually, in late 1980s and 90s, those cracks became so huge that other countries start taking those breaks out of the communist law, to the communist law collapsed, culminating the fall of the Berlin Wall,
Yep.
where people eventually became free. Unfortunately, today the European Union is doing 180 degrees and going back to the same methods that Stalin and other people were using against their own society. That's the
So you ended up doing 3 years in prison?
no. John Paul II was coming back to Nigeria to visit Poland right after the Marshall was taken down. And he demanded that before he comes in, there needs to be amnesty for political candidates. So they started listening to his lens. And I went up in like around 2 years, prison time. Not everyone, most of the activists were released. So this is where I got into the eventually under the when I was released, my ordeal was all just like most of the people who went to prison or political for political. They were under constant scrutiny of launch services for those I.
And you got released in 1991?
Oh, I was in the middle of the winter from 1983, late that 1983.
93.
Prison in the beginning of 1982. So it was a year and a half.
Okay.
Year and a half.
And then once you get out, do you have a plan to get out of Poland, or are you just unsure as to, what you
No, you're like fine. I was lucky that I afford to travel out of there. I didn't think they let me go to work. And then I'm thinking they kind of would teach me. I was at that river time here. And they would always sort of your criminal. And basically we went out. I mean, the law says you can bring and then use without permission in government. So basically, that's why you don't go out. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
And remember that in countless countries, the entire Warsaw side behind law was that way. They were the laws to make sure that elections are won by socialists. This is what we're coming up. Socialist elections. Socialist election is the election where socialist is communists always win. So those are socialist elections. They were really geared to always win. And such thing is opposition. If you did the Caribbean and the law could put you in prison, the law decide that way.
Amazing.
So when I left prison, I couldn't find a job, I couldn't do anything. And then I was kept. So I didn't think much, but I went to U.S. embassies because America for me was always this shining light here of freedom, and that the beacon of freedom where I, I never thought I would be able to come to America, but I always loved to read about it, to know more about America. And so he asked for help. And he asked special documentation papers that I brought the next time. And I was given the permit to, uh, I was in the green card, the permit to travel to the United States. And such as that. You know, the thing is that when I was traveling to Africa, nobody asked, what can you do here? I was asking one question, one thing to do. Just please respect American citizens and American law. And then do whatever you want to do.
Really?
So yeah, I came to America in 1984 with bag of clothes, and I didn't even have a 1 cent in my pocket. I have a 10 Phoenix. I think it's like maybe 5 cents. 10 Phoenix of German value because I came to America to Germany. And I remember in Germany, the people from State Department, they were coming to the camp, the place where I was living, and other calls immigrated to the United States. And they were teaching us about America, what to do, what not to do, what to avoid. And I was so fascinated. I was just like, I couldn't wait to learn more. And urgent visits from the State Department. People were just so sought after, I have so many questions all the time. So eventually, I was calling the office in that place, really like huge villa. It was there, like a center for refugees. And they asked me the office, I say, if I have any preferences where I would like to settle down in America. And so if they can, they might facilitate. I did have that to get me to America. If possible, if possible, get me to the hottest place in America because I'm so sick and sick of you called me because you call you really called you have a good clothes. I described about my book. Uh, the book is what gives me one in power with playing fishing. So we just give it this place. So they just okay, well, a place here in Memphis, Tennessee. What is all this microphone? That's like, well, I don't know anything about Memphis except that these wrestlers be
You know about all this. It's so funny. So you're actually aware that Elvis is from there. That's hysterical.
wrestlers. I was causing and important to listen to those like people like Elvis Presley and other groups because they were like the capitality emergency. You don't need this. So anyways, she's body and there is a young and then I think again when I love America, we born of course I didn't speak English and I had like 10 German Phoenix in my pub. So now I think you can understand why I'm so adamant about the great that was America. I ended up there that I owe to America and American people. I owe my freedom to America. When I came there, uh, American people brought me clothes. They brought me food. They helped me furnish my first apartment. And I was so sad. I remember I couldn't wait when they introduced me to my apartment. I couldn't wait for them to leave, for my American friends to leave. So I can shout, I'm in brag about I'm American. So when I called, asking, I'm living in an apartment. I'm working a job. She was working as a janitor, part-time pay. I could afford an apartment, which was in project very cheap. So I could afford the apartment. So I remember, well, because have a different meaning at the time. Had a different meaning at the time in Poland. Apartment is something luxurious. So when I called my mom, I say, Mom, I have my own apartment and I can afford everything. She was shining. Last day, and then we have climatization. That's what they call it in Poland. I had air conditioners. So it's almost cost of air when it's, can you enjoy that? My mom said, oh, out of cities. I say, yes, I was telling Mom, we live in these boxes. We see on the American movies. They are not in the window. They are not boxes full, like looking for food on the edge of the window.
Yeah.
But let me go back for a second. When I was growing up seeing American pictures, I've seen those ducks in the windows. But I think that was also that's food for because in countries it's also my mom the things from the let you you food or meat, so this is spoiled very quickly. So I
Yep.
said, they got some sauce. They had those sauce for food in clear thing. So we don't have to work really for third and fifth floor on somebody's head. In the well, then I was body sauces for food or the conditions. We can do some so, so yeah,
Oh, that's hilarious.
and I used to America, but I was so excited. Anyway, I had a job. I had that my own department. So
And how are you learning English at this point? Are you watching TV or are you going to actual structured classes to learn English?
oh no, I couldn't afford that. I was working. So this is the problem I have today in the English is that I live in just and all the brown because I was literally learning how to speak, but often often correct that. So very often I build idea read it would erase type of English. I get the better at all, but it is easier to learn a proper way for you to get go than later then to fix this
Yeah.
normal that the Russian would you like. The thing was you handle there's one why women sometimes you should shoot was you know just a little bit of win. Just going to have a get should shoot that that they're more careful as what is race. Let me go like the proper orange shoots. That's why you see them and a little nicer on the road. Mistakes. Kid, I got my first job. And as a generation of instructor as I can be, I think I string the next thing else. I mean, what should you get not speaking English? Then some a little bit. Yeah, just something in the I don't speak English. That doesn't work. So I was scared by the Japan. I was learning that from tourists, the Nintendo. My tourists was that thing quite a lot of time. And then well, because eventually I learned to ask was better job to apply for better job. I became a contact. Like a hello how you learn pass the part now the rules.
Okay.
Zadra. The they didn't want to clear English. So they just asked me, what are you anything about European countries? I say, yeah, I know everything about European countries.
It's a pretty funny story. Can I just interject for 1 second? They wanted to fire you because you were incorrectly. Were you getting or getting you were getting numbers of parts, correct? And then you had getting feeling it, but you were actually pulling the raw parts numbers.
Yeah, that's some problem. My judges on this phone. So they that I was this was really conversations. Hey, so I need 556 EB 458. You know, like there's no problem now. But that time, I just got a lot of those numbers.
Oh yeah.
So they can the rest go get that number from and bring it to the entrances to the dealerships. So the mechanics they came from different dealerships, pick it up and grab the part and go back.
Yep.
And you know, you motherfuckers, wrong fucking this is back there again. So that I'm so sorry. But anyway, you know, I was seeing these better. Right? They knew that with the heart.
Yeah.
So that there was person in the dealership who was so who didn't and Porsche. I said, well, he came from here to get on to the PM cars. I said, our shall. I didn't even own
Well, you know
the
nothing about that, right?
even know anybody who owns the car. But anyway, when about the Porsche for American made. Well, he was a really nice guy, but doesn't speak English. That's too expensive. Come on, we can. You know, the same with all the unit. So now we're waiting. I've been mechanic, except for the mark. And we hear these big howling people coming in. Well, go somewhere behind the wall. There's Jimbo is this. And they walked at the big this force, and you have to be like we're like 7 feet tall. Comes in, this hey, would go. So I look at I had Say, you want to be a mechanic? My English was good driver. What he said. I say,
Yep.
yes. Sam, yes, sir. I said, okay, look at shop manager. I need a so you be my soul with me. And so this how I started. Jinjing, he looked like me again. And he was his but his heart hit a big heart.
Yep.
He told everything about going mechanic, about fixing the cars. We became good friends. And everything that began today, everything that started, that helped me be my acquaintance today, James gave me that start.
That's awesome.
I even came to the point like my English is still real bad. So I say, look, I have a Sapman manual. I want you to read it to me at the beer when we get the beer. I will record it so I can learn English and I can learn the some manual, the technical manual.
Yep.
Just bro, give me something. Oh, let's go have a beer, but forget about the reading it. But then it's like, wow, okay, but if you tell somebody I'm trying to kill you, I feel- I still have that to the code today.
Really?
Yeah.
And you guys did touch this now or no?
So when he was reading, he was more professional as a mechanic than the reader.
Okay.
So I kind of feel the same way, a similar way. I'm more proficient in words, with sentences, speaking with words, than speaking with sentences and words. So I'm very fond of, his sacrifice.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be.
Do you guys still talk to this day or no?
He passed away.
My condolences.
Yeah. So once our life had its first Williams, to the in the Navy, I visited the environs of twice, but our really I've been having about the humanities. So sometimes when I was traveling by, I remember I like to smell the one that was given to us. So but then we lost contact because I was traveling a lot, and I was looking for him, and I think after podcast with Sir Ryan, somebody contacted me and said that Jimbo passed away a few months ago. So
It's beautiful you guys got put together and had that relationship and friendship. And listen, I'm sure it greatly affected him as well, having so much influence in your life and being able to help you like that.
yes. So just 1999, Warren became eligible for U.S. citizenship. Of course, yes. I remember it was a stressful time in my life because I wanted to pass these tests, and I still saw my friends do jobs that are perfect. So I was trying to practice the pronunciation. I was doing every literal United States. I was reading over the government. I was screaming. I was just jumping from war and then sitting on the book and trying to memorize this thing. So to make sure that I passed the test, that I had to embarrass myself. And I did, I passed it. So then I became a citizen in 1991. And
Was that the greatest day of your life?
it was the greatest day in my life, yes. So when I came in, I was started working again. And then, by this time, the first Persian War was going on. So I say, America is my country, my America. I'm going to go and switch. Because I will carry right of behind America, who joins military, and science ordinary life. Switch. I go for war, fight for America. And I just come back and resume my life. It never happened because I never left military until I retired. But it was my idea. I didn't know much. I didn't even know the distinctions between Army, Navy, and Marines. I know there's such uh, such second different such junctures. It didn't mean a lot to me. So I went to Army and there was a war. I'm American. I want to fight for America. So they say, okay, they start proceeding the paperwork. They check my background, all that stuff. They asked me where Is any if I have any preferences? I didn't know anything. Say, nope, just send me the universe control feminists. They say, okay. But then Navy SEALs came to Memphis. They were doing some demo jumps, demonstration or jumps for the Navy. And of course, I was having skydiving at the time. I was the skydiving. So the AFF jump. So they will talk. They say, well, I want to join the Navy. Navy is better than Army. I think every branch is great. But yeah, at that time, those are my people who I was skydiving with. Because that was they can promote the skydiving free time. So they said, okay, uh, how do I do? Just go to Afghanistan. How do you do it? What to join Army, the train Navy, if you all the paperwork. And there was pretty much set up. All I need to do, I think, fill a couple more paperwork, sign up, and go to Army. And I was very awkward because I felt I'm friends with these guys. And suddenly I didn't tell them to get lost at 60. I thought that out, but I say, okay, I go up there. So I apologize to sleep. I say, I'm going to explore the Navy. I was just talking into it. Right, well, they can nail the paper. I mean, they paperwork, then they know. And the Navy guys came in.
Now, let me ask you this: did you know about Rangers, Green Berets, and Delta Force at that time for the Army, or you had no idea about those guys, Special Forces?
Well, there's no usually is a little bit because when I was in prisons, there was in my well, we call Micah, there is a group usually. There were pictures of like a group of Green Berets and circle, like how they were security. And then, of course, the article was very better balcony. I thought I was numerated there. The murderers, they killing the one thing they can see it. Those changes. As of the matter, maybe how long would be tricky like that? I was absolutely excited. But my imagination is with those are real novels. And then, like, there's as I'm not a poet, for instance. So anyway, let me right. So this was view. Who does was yeah, did not did not know, and it didn't really matter to me at the time. I wanted to study American and whatever American needed me. This was sensational. I will go out there and I joined them in the military. They censored the movie, and that's one idea. But then it's in picture. Wow. Yeah, with a chance to to be white. They say, well, there's the nickname is the Navy. Say yes, but you're not one with 32 years old. So the capability will take. But if you sign the by doing that boot camp, if you tell me it be a skill, they might weak. That's like, okay. Was not me. Was not the most interesting.
Okay.
That's what is happening. And as they had up of the tests, and I was very cold. Was that then I get the stuff. So I still had an average resolution 2 days is a good document that say because he can proceed to sphere training even after he passed the test. He's the third foreign year at least.
Keystone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And but they say close the doors, but you have to use 1 year. Maybe 32, going 33 time was like, well, if I has another year being 34, I might not get the chance to be a cis. But that's fine. So I proceed with my training as a survival equipment man, as PIA. The sessions monitor, I went to the school. Oh, from the boot camp, I graduated as number one, like two. I was the first one who graduate me. I got the military excellence award. I was so honored. So they say to me, to be the PI aircraft survival equipment man. I also graduated with some of my class. So I think that I get a waiver for my A because I think they see like about in everything.
Yeah. And how are you PT wise? Are you killing everyone in terms of PT scores? Your physical training, like push ups, sit ups, like how are you? Are you a machine or you really had to work hard and kill yourself? Are you a natural or no?
Well, no, I wasn't sure. I couldn't swim very well. But I was in the ocean in the first place. I was not homeless. So it was when my classmates from bus after a day of their training decided to go pop out to happen on. I was really very getting with this.
I can imagine. You're 33 as you go through buds?
Was it?
You're 33 years old? 32 years old going through buds. Wow, that's crazy.
And 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 and, and, and it was not the mental something mental stress out. I was losing. I always told myself, I should resist criticism. Here is I don't try to kill me, he just try to make me better. Unlike the come to prison. So I'm not even yeah. So it's some the problem with something like I never swam with a mask on my face. So I don't know pass out. And I was almost quite a few times. I think the black spots in front of my eyes. Because the mask, so I could only breathe through my mouth. And I remember like so much water to the first swings. When I was coming through that pool, I looked like a alien. I really had to puke the water out and and piss it out. But it was so much of water. I remember she's like, I was swimming and say, I'm about to pass out, I'm about to pass out. But then I was thinking, fucking what? I will pass out here. The instructors, they didn't let me die. So they will rescue us. And when I didn't pass out, but I can do better and better. The great moment for me was in this pre-training phase, retraining phase, when instructors asked me to demonstrate how to do the side stroke, how to swim for the new people who just came into that. I was super stupid because I can swim. And here this was demonstrating how to properly swim the side stroke. So yeah,
Can I shoot two questions?
there is nothing easy to prepare yourself. I didn't have any nervousness. But as a instructor later, I remember as the field instructor in band, I can tell you who's going to make it, who is not. And no matter how well you prepare yourselves, you will be challenged to the point of, you know, almost this.
So let me ask you two questions. One is, did you ever come close to quitting in buds?
No.
Never.
I was more concerned with the drop for injuries that performing you like that. So I remember it was my 30 or 2 months that penalty. I think I'm on the second or third day. You have to write in the paper as this why you are free. Why you have to be still. And then you ask your question actually gets answered in front of the class to instructors in the house. And I remember I had a one try to be the best. I came to try this. I came to try that. To try this. So when I came in, with my broken English, I didn't get here to try shit. I came here to become a cis. Either break and get kicked out, physical break and get kicked out, or I will leave this place as a Navy SEALs, as a graduate of SEALs. I want to be a Navy SEAL in here to be a Navy SEAL, not to try anything. And they are late for college stuff, but I know that so, I remember honestly. Yeah, I remember also they like to get me in front of the younger classes and demonstrate my life. Because when I shot on my life, you have to take good care of it. You could actually lay your knife on your hair, felt it, and as it just slid on your hand going forward now, it cut the hand on the trigger. That was that shot. It's not a great idea to make a that shot and get over it. But this is how I was doing it. Very lucky they're in the demonstration.
Oh, I'm sure they love your attitude. And let me ask you this: as you're going through the hardest times, Hell Week, whatever the hardest time was for you and Buds, what do you think of at that point? Do you think of like kind of what you're going through? Do you put your mind elsewhere? Like what? How do you get through it yourself?
You do is one step at a time, one hour at a time, 1 day at a time. And like I said, I did and urge to wait. And I remember, it's okay, this is so hard today. I just need to survive to it tomorrow. If I start tomorrow, everything will be easy. It'll be okay. And the service from day to day. Don't think what's going to happen next. I just roll with the parents, friends. Whatever it throws me or at us, we just did it. They are didn't dwell much on pain and AIDS. And as far as environmental stress, don't talk to rules. The start was the full competence. And that was most of us, even more people than hell with. When they fail, most of the people get dropped. And so that was, I failed the first one. And I remember, I passed the second one. But this is what I hear also of the second, the big statement for me is when I was rising for competency home, I was living town at the time. The street was like dead end street with like 30 degrees down and the cliff. Uh, so as I was riding home, there was a bunch of people on the street. So I thought that some accident happened. So I said, like, well, I rolled the window up. I said, guess he any help? And this guy, I guess he had my accent or something. He just punched me right in the face. So, so I was like, oh, well, let's go knock at the door. I knocked this guy out. This other guy jumped in. I knocked the other guy out. Unfortunately, one of them, I kicked in the head. He rolled on my hood, fell down in front of my car. So basically blocking me on the street. The other one was laying on the side. And those people from this big group, they just bug over. And then now they had a party. Then one of the neighbors to the party was a bunch of people drinking.
Okay.
But now I see myself running on and I look at myself. I say, I'm in my greens, in my uniform. We are forbidden to leave the base as a students in our uniform. You know who on time. So I say, I'm sham there. They arrest me now. They will pick me up from bus. Not only I beat up to people, I'm in my uniform. I shouldn't be. I broke the regulation. So I sprint to my house, maybe like 30 yards. And my ex-wife, now my wife at the time, she says like, what happened? What happened? I said, give me the clothes. Give me the clothes. I'm to change the clothes very quick. What is the car? Can't him there on the heels. He running. So she runs around of them on the street. So there's like doors are open. The car is running, and the dude is laying in front of my car. So say, stop my car! We just ran over somebody. Don't have insurance enough to cover us. They just kill somebody. I say, I'm not better beat him up. Don't worry about it. It's cool. We have my uniform. So I made to the thing to the car, and some police showed up. So I remember you know, they arrested these guys. They took them to hospital first and throw them in jail after they visited hospital. But they told me that they will come to my work because they asked me what I work as, and I'm student in bus. We're gonna call us there and we need something from you, so we're gonna contact your command. I was like, fuck. So now I have to tell my cousin. So I went up there, my cousins, and I talked to Mr. Ernst, Mr. So, I don't quote his name out because I really don't have I didn't talk to him about permission to use his name. And some people just don't like to be brought up in the podcast, but he was a great officer. He's a fantastic officer. He was leading our us the right way. You had quite a few officers. All of them were excellent officers. Okay, so I got to him and said, Mr. I have to admit something. I'm in big trouble. I beat up two people on the way home. And they are in prison now, but they went to hospital. So I just give you a heads up because it will come up. The police say they will call here. So you find out more about it. He, of course, when the report, he told me we need to instructions about it. So when I'm saying, I know this shit now. What do I do? What will happen to me? I don't want to lose my opportunity to become a CS. And but then, after told I can make some calls, one of the instructors comes to me and says, "So, did you use that? How did you beat him up?" So I told him how I beat him up. He said, "Great. Now I want you to go to this other class and tell them how you beat these students up." So then I had to get out. There were 2, 3 classes and tell them everybody like I beat up these 2 dudes. And they asked me, "Did you use the scar, the technique?" So I was like afraid to answer it, but I said, "Yes, I did." That's great. Let's go. Let's start some classes. Tell them how to beat these guys. And I'm like, I was pulled around. So I took, I think, 2 different classes and I had to tell them how to beat up these guys up. So I was not clean out of the field training. Actually, I went on and I was able to graduate in October, sorry, December or January, actually, January 1992, late. In 1993,
January 93, you got out.
yeah.
Okay. And then, so you go to where first? Team.
The federal field.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is East or West Coast?
The biz numbers are on the East Coast. Yeah. So I was on SEAL Team 2. This is eventually, I was deploying from West SEAL Team 2, and eventually I deployed with Jaja. So that's the story itself. The guy was, he's great and today great reader. He was extremely charismatic. You have to push it over it to be like him and follow his lead. So, but then the third one swimming, it's kind of interesting. We're actually doing the qualifications life. So we're going navigate the Rabri into the buoy, navigate and go back. And for now to do the so what's it in that in Tuesday kind of did it weekend. So seriously, Jacko was providing, so he was using the contest. The other lad was in the swimming race to Jacko, and I was holding the buoy. And then, and I said, one of the guys like, he's engaged. We were very fast, so it looks like easy swim. Good God, I was over to bring my rig, and this other guy, we both were being dragged to the ocean's middle of the ragdolls with Jack swimming. And we made my boat in the bag, and when we came back, I could hardly breathe. And they said, "That's always good." Yes, yes, I'm still alive. It's good. So we became friends. We deployed together to Persian Gulf. We still teams where we hijacked the Russian tanker in the year 2000, the Volga 42, and Google it out, it's still there. And then I was able to change. I had the honor to speak with him again when he came to Baghdad with his own platoon. And that was from before his next platoon in Ramad. So I was with him. He's been back. He also very to remind me his unit is the highest decorated SEAL unit, especially.
And was that the Task Force Bruiser?
Yes.
When you guys were in Ramadi?
I was part of that, but this time I didn't play to the back. But he just kept my for another round. And they were honored for me to be in that unit. Actually, but I just was rotated out of Europe back to join the other platoon.
Okay. And anything like crazy, any good stories? I'm sure there's a million of them on deployment.
It's possible. I think the most memorable for me was we're doing on target with polyester spells with grumpels, part of the assault grum assault assistance clearing the house. We're helping for one of the I would say worker, one of the colleagues of chemical army. He was working with chemical army, and they were organizing the attacks and all that stuff.
Yep.
So we're trying. The guy time, and he was always head of. But eventually, that we landed on location. So as we progress clearing, clear the announced, there is no hallway, and I'm still on the left side of the hallway, in the like intersection. There is a ground dog on the right side, so his gang is opposite. And then I remember we see somebody's walking out of the room at the back of that hallway. It's still done there, get a light. But to the smoke, the breaches is silver. The guy is showing up. I look at it. It's like 80 years old man, shaking terrible, pissing his pants. Well, he didn't have a pants. He had his membrane. So pissing them, there's the big spot in front of him. And his cousin always looks like 80 years old, like, and his cousin Ghana. And he's shakes, but the terror, I can hear it from the gun even began. The situation is just heated. And I have another group of coming out, drummer maybe, another coming out behind the corner, play, and drop the gun. The guy, he's not dropping the gun. Figure out that just can't comprehend what's going on. He's so sad.
Yeah.
So you want the guy to be killed now right in front of the book and right in front of old one. So I stepped on the left side of the hallway ranch. Yeah, of the place. I was not one that worried because I knew that training is very sophisticated. They are very effective.
Yep.
These guys. And I could hear as soon as I touched his guy, I just didn't want, how he shoots this guy. We had this guy was part of what I just felt was what I time. I wish we didn't get. I still was guns. These other guys shouldn't get me. I woke up and of course most of the was aim at his heart. And with one hand, I had a very short sword. And then I took this gun away from me. And that woman almost collapsed. It's like he was falling down. They were hugging. So we that was this. We I'm not saying because we just grabbed and we were on all place. But this was woman after me, late I was leaving. And he said she was very strict. We didn't kill her. She was telling me to leave the county. But he said Dzieran. He wanted to left, and they were got rid of she was killed. So she wasn't like that. We are better than that. We don't need to kill, we don't kill people. And she was speaking English. And so was him. So we left and we took the guy.
Absolutely. Again, I was like a giddy little schoolgirl when you left that message the other day that you listened to my podcast. So, guys, if you like what you saw, please hit like and subscribe, and we will see you soon.
Order, shot fire, officer down, shot fire, officer down. Got a city officer down, shot fire.
223, be advised, we have a visual on enemy paratroopers in grid Papa uniforms.
Welcome to the Resilient Warrior Nation, a podcast dedicated to inspiring hope and healing for first responders, military veterans, and anyone facing PTSD and trauma.